Hello and welcome to another episode of the Popcorn Conspiracy. I'm Dave G, and joining me tonight is my co-host.
Hello everybody, I'm Kyle.
And tonight we're taking a look at the new Tom and Jerry film. Yes, that's right, Tom and Jerry are back on the big screen. Or should I say, this is one of the first times they've actually been on the big screen, even though they've been on the small screen for about 80 years now. And this newfangled Tom and Jerry finds Tom and Jerry in modern-day New York, and their human counterpart is Kayla, played by Chloe Grace Moretz. Now, she's a little bit of a drifter. She can't seem to really hold down a job, but all of a sudden she finds herself basically lying her way into a job at the Royal Gate Hotel, which is a hotel that's kind of in a really kind of frenzy at the moment because they're having a socialite wedding between Ben, played by Colin Joust, and Preeta, played by Pallavi Sharada. And the person who is the most affected by this is Terrence, played by Michael Pena, who is in an absolute flurry to try and get this wedding to work and make the hotel the best it can possibly be. So when his boss, played by Rob Delaney, hires Kayla, he's a little bit annoyed because he can see right through her straight away, but he hopes that she can stop the hijinks that's happening with Tom and Jerry chasing themselves around the hotel at the time. So, mate, this is a little bit of a strange film. I know it's a family film, but what did you think of Tom and Jerry?
Yeah, I'm very surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie. I used to watch the Tom and Jerry cartoons when I was much, much younger, and I would watch Tom and Jerry, and my brother would watch Looney Tunes because I guess it was a little bit more grown up. It sounds weird to say that, but then eventually, I got older and just watched Looney Tunes, and I just never watched Tom and Jerry again.
That wasn't because Sophie Lee hosted the Warner Brothers show, was it, by any chance? Because my dad used to seem to like to watch that show too.
It might have something to do with that. Yeah, and when this movie was coming out, I just thought that it was going to be just whatever. It's Tom and Jerry, whatever, just some name recognition cheap movie that was getting thrown together for kids to go see. But yeah, I was actually very surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I thought it was really amazed by the special effects in it and how they mixed the animation with live action. I really was comparing it a lot to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which of course is like the gold standard of that kind of animation meets live action kind of movie. I was really impressed with the actors, how they were pantomiming to nothing, and I was just kind of impressed by the story and the way that it was interesting enough to push the plot along and never dragged, even though it was it seems weird for a Tom and Jerry movie to actually be kind of interesting, from a plot perspective. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. What did you think of it, dude?
Yeah, look, this movie is almost a fan movie in a sense, because I found out that Tim Story, the director, who also directed the original Fantastic Four movie and also did the Queen Latifah movie Taxi a few years ago, apparently he is an absolutely massive Tom and Jerry fan and has always wanted to make a Tom and Jerry film. It's been a lifelong ambition for him. And I guess that kind of shows in the film because like you said, I was expecting this to be kind of like a cash-in kind of movie where it's we'll just toss the Tom and Jerry name on it and throw the characters in there and kind of see what happens. But the fact that it's made by a hardcore Tom and Jerry fan, I think it actually kind of shows. Of course, he had to modernize the story, but he's kept the essence of Tom and Jerry in there, and it mixes that old 80s style cartoon with modern day really, really well, like you said. But I think what I liked is he's kept the cartoon violence in there. I was a little bit worried that in this new PC kind of world that the cartoon violence might have been toned back, no putting a cat's tongue in a mincer, that kind of thing. But that's all there. He's kept it very, very true to what the old Tom and Jerry cartoons were like. And I actually did like the modern day characters that he's brought into this as well. I'm a pretty big Michael Pena fan. I kind of like the movies that he's made over the years, and I think he was actually one of the best things about Dora the Explorer when that came out as well. So I actually think they did the right thing by making these characters kind of likable until a couple of them go to the bad side kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it actually generally worked all round.
Yeah, you mentioned about Tim Story being such a fan of Tom and Jerry. It kind of reminds me of Brian Levant, who directed the live action The Flintstones movie in '94, and like you could really tell that he was such a fan of the original property that he put so much care into that movie and made it feel like it's such an authentic live action recreation, and like not wanting to mess it up, not wanting to cheapen it at all. And yeah, I agree. Like this movie, it even has like some of the same sound effects that were used. I can't remember the name. Mel Blanc, I think, is the voice actor. From like 80 years ago. Like it uses the same voices of Tom and Jerry throughout the movie. I think that Tim Story and his team, they've really done an incredible job of like bringing these characters into this 2.5D animation way that like we've seen it done a lot in other movies, but like I kept being amazed by little elements throughout the film. Like right at the start, Jerry has a backpack, and now the backpack itself might be completely CGI as well, but it looks like a solid physical thing being carried around by this little basic animation cartoon mouse. Like how Tom and Jerry and the animated characters in this movie interacted with the real world, it felt so real.
Yeah.
You know, like later on, Tom is in the pouring rain, and just the way that the rain drops and interacts with him, it looks 100% natural. And like I said, like Tim Story, he's mostly known for his work with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube and kind of like lower budgeted movies. Like he did do the Fantastic Four movies, but that was like 15 years ago, and he hasn't really worked with CGI since. So like yeah, you could tell that it really meant a lot to him to get this movie looking right and to have the right feel to it.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing that I thought I wondered if they could have improved on or changed somehow, I found it kind of interesting that a lot of the animals in this have a voice. Like there's Bobby Cannavale voices a dog and things like that, but Tom and Jerry still don't talk like the original cartoons, and it kind of made me wonder whether or not the other animals shouldn't have spoken as well, because it did. That was the only bit that kind of jarred with me a little bit, was like, I love the fact that they've used the original kind of sounds and noises that Tom and Jerry make, but it did seem a little bit weird when you had like elephants and birds and dogs talking, but they're the only two that don't talk.
Yeah. Like I'm not sure with the original or any of the other like incarnations over the years whether that's been the case.
I don't think they did. I can't ever remember them talking.
But like it's almost like, because this is something we were talking about with the plot, that they almost needed to have a certain amount of like dialogue from the animated characters in some ways, because there needs to actually be a story.
Yeah.
You know, there needs to actually be characters, and I guess that's why like so much of the movie actually goes into the live action actors rather than Tom and Jerry themselves. It's like the actual Tom and Jerry, like the movie's a good vehicle for them to just do their hijinks, but yeah, they don't. Their entire thing is basically just Tom and Jerry like cat and mouse chasing each other.
Yeah.
You know, like there's not actually much of a story to that. And if they tried to have the characters talking, they would, like, it would take away what these characters have been for like almost 100 years now. But yeah, it's like sometimes it did kind of it did kind of lean towards their like making a few little allowances to push the story along. Like, what did you think of the actual the human plot in the movie, the storyline that was going on with the socialite wedding and all that?
Yeah, I thought it worked quite well. That like really brought it into modern day. Like, we live in a world where a majority of people probably know more about what the Kardashians are doing than what the US Senate is doing. Like, that's just the realistic world that we live in these days, and we're kidding ourselves if we think it's any different. So I actually think like having a socialite wedding was actually a really good way to tie it into the hotel. And I thought it was interesting that the hotel almost felt like it was 80 years old as well. Like they talk about the prestige of the hotel, and I loved that the hotel itself almost seemed as old as Tom and Jerry. And I think the socialite wedding kind of worked. And I think I enjoyed the fact that they didn't make it all about the characters that are getting married. Like that this was more from Kayla and Terrence's point of view about what was happening with everything. I love that they threw in like some kind of obscure characters. There's a character here called Joy the Bell Girl, played by Patsy Ferran. And I love that she was kind of obscure. The only thing I thought they did get wrong with the human characters was you've got Ken Jeong in there. Now, I love Ken Jeong. And if you're going to get Ken Jeong in your movie, you should have him in it more often. He plays this character called Chef Jackie in this that kind of has a little bit of, has some elements of Senor Chang, I guess, in a sense, with his behavior. But you don't see him very often, and I kind of wonder whether or not there's like a subplot on the editing room floor that was supposed to be more of Ken Jeong's story. But I would have loved to have seen Ken Jeong kind of mixing it with Tom and Jerry, because like it would have been like a comedic duo from 80 years ago meeting one of the funniest guys on screen today. I thought that would have been something really special to watch, but he's kind of pushed aside as this kind of side character that I think only ends up appearing in about 4 or 5 scenes in the film, and it just feels a little bit weird that you would have someone that's so well known kind of pushed into that smaller kind of role. And like there was a couple of times when I was almost thinking, you know, if you were going to get him for this movie, why wouldn't you have kind of got him to have played the Michael Pena part? But then I'm glad that they didn't, because I thought Michael Pena was really good in this as well.
Yeah, like what you're saying with the chef character, like it seems like an obvious choice that you'd have maybe a few parts of the movie about a chef going crazy about a mouse in his kitchen, you know,
yeah.
Like but. As like you said, they don't really seem to focus on it that much. I was thinking like maybe there were storylines like that, but they might have removed them, because I think at times the movie does lean a little bit too much into the human characters, like as great as they are. But sometimes it almost like sometimes when I was watching it, I was and thinking the wedding and Kayla and the people that she's talking to, and I sometimes I was thinking, okay, wait, I thought this was a Tom and Jerry movie. Where are Tom and Jerry? You know, so maybe they did remove some of his scenes to maybe so to shift the focus of the movie back onto the title characters.
Yeah, like we have seen this year that he doesn't mind a smaller part. Like he had a smaller part in Boss Level, and he had a smaller part in the name's gone out of my head. The Australian film, the Aussie
Incursion into Occupation.
Yeah, the second Occupation film. But having said that, you kind of get the feeling that his character's going to have a major part in the third film in that franchise, so you can kind of understand why he came into that one late. But yeah, in Boss Level, he just played the bartender that was in a few scenes. So look, maybe there is some kind of love there that he has for Tom and Jerry as well. But if that's the case, then why didn't he have more scenes with Tom and Jerry? I guess.
Yeah, I did think he was funny in the movie though. The character that's supposedly his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. As you said, Michael Pena. Like I've said before, I think he's a very underrated actor, and I agree. Like in this, I thought he was as good in this as he was in Dora the Explorer or the Ant-Man movies, and he was kind of like a highlight of those films.
I love that he can do like a hard-edged cop drama, and then he can come back and do a movie like this. And I remember hearing an interview with him when he did Dora, and he said the whole reason he did that was because his daughter loves Dora the Explorer, and he's made so many movies over the years that she can't watch, that he actually wanted to make a movie that his daughter could watch and would love.
Yeah. That's it, like I'd say probably something similar here as well. Like he's such a likable actor, and it's hard not to smile when he's on screen. Like I remember that was pretty much the only reason I thought that he was miscast in Fantasy Island, was because I thought that role should, like, he should have been kind of daunting in like that character that he was playing, like should have been more of a scarier character, but it's this guy. You love this guy,
yeah.
Like he's such a likable guy. Likewise, I thought that Chloe Grace Moretz did a really good job. Like very much a lead role, because neither Tom and Jerry speak. Like she has to pretty much fill in for them a lot throughout the movie, and I thought she did that really well. Like sometimes it felt maybe she was trying a little too hard, but I think that might have been because she was so animated in this movie, and we're used to seeing her in much more serious, somber roles. So this was really a much more lighthearted, much more like comedic movie than she's kind of used to.
Yeah.
So it was just I thought that she really, because she really does carry the film herself. Because like I said, Tom and Jerry, they're not really characters.
Yeah.
She's pretty much got to do the heavy lifting. So,
and it's funny because she'd just done the same thing in Shadow in the Cloud. I saw Shadow in the Cloud only a couple of weeks before I saw Tom and Jerry, and in Shadow in the Cloud, I think for like 70% of the movie, it's just her on screen. So she'd already just carried one film before that.
Yeah, like overall, like. I think that was something that, it seems like such a simple thing, but I really liked that the story was just about how do you have a movie about Tom and Jerry? Okay, we'll put them in a big fancy hotel, and there's a cartoon mouse problem, so they hire a cartoon cat to get rid of it. And, like, it's such a simple thing, but I think it was just really... just how well the plot worked to carry this entire movie for an hour and a half, for it not to get boring at any point in that time, even though, like, basically it's just a collection of skits between Tom and Jerry. I thought I was really, I think the movie did a really good job in taking something that's basically just like short animations and finding a way to stretch it for an hour and a half. I thought they did a very good job.
Definitely. And yeah, I'm the same. Like, I just can't believe that they actually made a movie like this that worked so well. We were kind of blessed in the last school holidays with this film and Peter Rabbit 2, both really good family films. It's like we're moving out of that phase where we went through a whole bunch of really, really bad family films. Like, so hopefully we've turned that around and this is what we can expect in the future. So I guess to kind of wrap up, what are you going to give this 1 out of 5?
It might seem a little crazy, but I'm going to give this 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, just I can't say enough good things about it. So 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 as well. I really, really enjoyed this film. I thought that, yeah, I saw this the day after I saw Peter Rabbit 2, and I loved Peter Rabbit 2, and then I went and saw this the next day and loved this even more. So, yeah, it's going to be a 3.5 out of 5 for me. So that's it for this episode of the Popcorn Conspiracy. 4 for Tom and Jerry from Kyle and 3.5 from me. But for now, I've been Dave G.
And I've been Kyle.
And we'll be back soon with another episode of the Popcorn Conspiracy.